Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm here to talk to you about this coming weekend's readings, which are really very challenging in my mind. Part of it is nice, but the other readings can bring us great challenges. But before I do that, I hope you're well. I hope you're sustaining the winter wherever you may be. I hope it's not too cold, and I hope all is going well with those you teach as well. Um, that they're growing, you see their development and how they're progressing, growing in their faith, in their little faith journeys. And I hope it's been a good experience for you. So, as I said, this weekend, the readings give us lots of challenges to deal with. And in our first reading, has to do with David and Saul in the first book of Samuel. And you could read the story yourself. It's just a very interesting, well, the Old Testament, the history stories are really interesting. So, I certainly would encourage you to read it. But the bottom line, it's about Saul and David being enemies, and Saul is trying to get after David to kill him. David knows this. David is given an opportunity to do the same to Saul, but he stops. He doesn't. Instead, he becomes merciful and kind, and he just, that's what he does. Now, certainly in our human understanding of that, it's very uh easy to think, well, yeah, that's justification. If somebody hates me and wants to kill me, I'm certainly going to kill them first. um and then, as we get on with the readings and get on with the responsorial psalm, which is, our God is kind and merciful, things start to take a little shift. And of course, the second reading, it was still in the first letter of Corinthians. It's still about coming to terms with Jesus, who was resurrected. And was Jesus's resurrection, how real was that? And how does that pertain to us personally? So that's also a good one to read and reread. Then we get to the gospel. And the gospel is one of those that can be hard to uh, make sense of, because it makes sense, but that Jesus is really challenging us. It's counter to what our culture would say, to be human or to be um, secular in the secular world. It's okay to get angry with your enemy, but Jesus is asking more of us. What do I mean by that? Well, someone asked him about, forgiveness and who do you love? And Jesus says, you are to still love your enemy. Different from the Hebrew teaching, which would be an eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth. That kind of gets canceled, through Jesus's teachings. And he is telling us to forgive our enemies, to kiss them, to, uh, show mercy. How difficult can that be? If someone does something wrong to you, basically, how do you want to repay them? And of course, sometimes that can happen to us in all different kinds of ways, whether it's through gossip or through someone actually stealing from us, maybe, or some kind of injustice has happened to us. And it's the human response is, you want to get back at them. You want to give them a run for their money. You want to show them what justice is, but does that really work? Does it really make you feel better in the end? So Jesus is saying, no, this is what you are to do, to forgive your enemies. And if your enemy hits you on the cheek, you turn to the other side. It just doesn't sound right. I think what Jesus is trying to tell us is that if we are kind and merciful to everyone, not just to those we love, those we love, that's easy, and sometimes that's even hard in itself. To those we love, sometimes we find ourselves at odds with them too. But Jesus is talking about our enemies, those who hate us, those we may hate. Strong words, but um, nonetheless, what Jesus is saying, we must forgive them. It's one of those lessons that, doesn't come overnight or we're comfortable with right away. It's something, and with a lot of what Jesus teaches us, needs to be thought about, and we need to process it. And can we do that? And a lot of times there have been situations where I'll say, just hold up my hand and say, I don't think I can do this. I really don't think I can. I don't like them. How you want me to pray for them? That's really hard. And there are times I have to pray to be able to pray for someone who's hurt me or has been unmerciful to me or unkind or done some injustice to me. Uh, Sometimes it's humanly on your own impossible to be able to do that. But that's the beauty of Christ and the beauty of what he teaches us. I don't think he expects us to do it right away. I think it's like, like the Beatitudes last week. It's a process. It's not a black and white situation. It's, we have to process it so it becomes, through our heads and our hearts and our souls, that we can understand it. Um, I've done it. I know I have done it in my lifetime, and I've gotten different reactions. Some people will be like, like not accepting of my being kind to them. Maybe they don't feel they're worth it. But the scripture also tells us, don't expect a return. Don't expect, this to happen to you times. Just you keep doing it. Or on the other hand, I've had an extension of people, really a reconciliation with someone, which was a big deal. So we don't know what the outcome is going to be. It's just that we need to become more like Christ. If we're truly going to follow him, we have to follow the way he acted and in doing what he did. And hopefully, as a result of that, someone either has a change of heart themselves, maybe go through their own metanoia so they can have a great relationship with Christ too. So those are our readings. They are uh, challenging. And when you're teaching young people about that, and especially I would say the older they are, little kids are like, I'll be kind to everybody, I'll be nice to everybody sometimes. But they may already have experienced certain things in school. When you think of people, when they relate to being bullied or someone being bullied, or they already can sense an injustice. Kids are pretty, wired to do that. But as they get older, it's not just, this has happened to me. It's like, I have to get back at them. I am going to be vengeful. And we as a society have taught that, many times with especially boys, they do that, punch him and let him teach him a lesson. That's not what Jesus is saying, you know. Jesus is saying, turn the other cheek. So hard to get to understand, so hard to teach young people this. Um, but as we keep going with it and questioning, and I think it's something we all need to work on all of the time. Because there's still going to be people who bug us, the people who we see as our enemy, and somehow we have to forgive them if they do something unjust to us. So I will pray for you. I will pray for me. You please pray for me so that when these occasions come, God will give us and grant us the grace to be able to handle them so we can become more like him as we progress on this journey of faith and we do it together. Have a good week, everyone. God bless.